everybody to your program, your number one feel-good program, Exjaw, the program that takes us back in the days to our secondary school days, our high school days, and those very interesting and unforgettable moments in time. Today, as always, I'm yours sincerely, Nani Shehu. I'm an ex-Jaw, that means an ex-junior airwoman. I finished from the Air Force Girls Military School in Nigeria. Of course, it's in Jos. It's the only one in Africa. So let me rub that in. Okay. So my service number is 88 stroke 0182. I'm here with a co-host, one of my ogas. Now, if you don't know what oga is, it means somebody that was your senior or that whose NAF number is years before yours. So my co-host is my oga. I call him Oga K, but he's going to tell you his real name. So Oga K, over to you.
All right, welcome to the show, Exjam. My name is Kayode Atobatele. I am AFMS 82/248. I am an ex-junior airman of the Air Force Military School, Jos.
Okay, that's Oga K there, our very own Oga K. We've got two guests today, two distinguished. In the military, there's really no lady, so distinguished gentlemen. If you want to call one of them a lady, now you sabi. Okay, so I'm going to start with the most senior one. You know how it is in the military. Your senior is your senior, even in heaven. That's what we say military. So we're going to start with the senior one, and that is Oga. I dare not call him by his name, Oga Goss. That's what we call him, but his real name is Mr. Augustine Olalere. He was a member of the pioneer set of the Air Force Military School in Jos, and that's the 80 set. The school started, the first set started in 80 set. He was here. He came here to the USA. He came to the USA after the school on a basketball scholarship to the prestigious Citadel. Now, if you don't know what Citadel is, quick, Google it. It's a prestigious school, an academy that everybody dreams of, and hardly anybody gets there. But he was able to get there on a basketball scholarship. He's going to tell us more about that over there. I'm just introducing him now. And then he's a certified financial planner, which he goes into, is really certified in pension funds administration for groups and for municipalities and all of that, just group people. And then he's a he's a member of the Maritime Association, and he's the executive director of the board of Citadel for African American Association. He's so many things more, but I will stop here so that we can continue with the program. Because if we start this, we're not going to finish today. If I tell you all of his accolades, you're not going to finish today. All of his achievements. So, Oga Goss, welcome to the program today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Nana, it's a pleasure to be here today. My full name is Augustine Abiodun Olalere, but they call me Gus. You know, here in the US, they try to abbreviate just about everything. Of course, I'm an AFMS 80/116 Yellow Squadron. And interestingly, Nana, your father was the officer in charge of Yellow Squadron. You know, the initial Yellow Squadron commanding officer at that time. So, you know, your official features definitely bear his memories. His blessed memories, of course. Of course, as part of the pioneer set, finished from there and then came here to America on a basketball scholarship. And I've since been, like you mentioned, a certified financial planner, a registered investment advisor, and I work with a lot of pension funds, municipalities, cities, and states, and actually here in Atlanta for a conference. And it's a joy. And it's, you know, to always remember my days at AFMS. It was the defining moments of my life, and definitely what has helped to prepare me for who I am today.
Okay. Thank you so much, Oga, for that. That's really, you know, it shows your passion for everything FMS. And also, the other guest we have is my classmate. Well, you know, it's always your classmate. I forget to say was, because we're classmates, you know, we serve job together and all of that. So it's just like it's still in the present. Her name, we call her Hansi. In fact, we call her Hansi Dodo. Well, you just faster to say Hansi, but she's Mrs. Hansatu Adegbite. She was the first national chairperson of Afghan, that's the Association of the Ex-Students of Air Force Girls Military School. She is currently the executive director of WIMBEES. WIMBEES is Women in Management, Business, and Public Service. She was the first ever female president of the Association of Management and Business Students at the University of Abuja while she was there. She's a mother. She has two grown sons who are taller than her. I've seen them, believe me. So, Hansatu, welcome to the program today.
Thank you very much, Nana. It's a pleasure to be here. Anything for Exjaw and Exjam.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, at this point, I think we're just going to take a break and we'll be right back and we'll continue with the program. Remember, it's Exjaw you're watching, and as the program takes us back in the days, back to our secondary school days and those interesting moments which we're going to relive on the program today. Don't go nowhere.
Welcome back to the show. And so I have a couple of questions for you. Well, let's start with the basics. What made you decide to go to the Air Force Military School, considering the fact that Ogagos has 80 sets, you were the pioneering set, which means that there was no other person you could refer to who had attended this school before. So what made you decide? And then Hansi, also, you had the second set. In actual fact, I don't know if there's any other girls' military school in all of Africa, which means that the girls' military school in Jos was the first in all of Africa, as far as we know, if not the world. But what made you decide that this is where you want to go to? Ogagos, let's hear you first, and then let's hear Hansi's answer.
Yeah, I would say that, the precedent that was set by the Nigerian Military Schools area was definitely one, that, and it was definitely one there that provided an impetus to want to go to a place like Air Force Military School. Just like you said, Kaide, we did not have any precepts, or any kind of idea of what the place was going to be, but we knew that, it was going to be very much like it was going to be very much like Nigerian Military Schools area. Of course, this is where our parents come in, who my dad especially was very keen on the fact that, listen, this is where you need to go. This is the place where you're going to learn a lot about leadership. You're going to learn about who you are, how tough you think you are, and this is going to be this is going to be pretty much a guiding path for your future. So it was a very, very easy decision. We looked so much to our parents, and I think my parents did an excellent job in steering me in that direction.
All right, thank you. Hansi, let's hear your answer.
I think for me, as at that time, the Air Force Girls Military School was new. It was like a hot cake that had come off the fresh oven. And my senior sister was in the first set. So naturally, I was just so motivated to join the Girls Military School. It was, in fact, it became a prayer point for me. I recall, even before I wrote every common entrance and all every interview, I was just praying that I would move in. I think it was just the fact that it was the first Girls Military School. That was one. And number two, there was a curiosity around what can the military training sort of instill in us. And I think that was what it was for me.
Awesome. So on the back of that, Hansi, actually, I want to ask you another question, because I still remember my own personal experience when I saw a junior airman for the first time ever in person, wearing an Air Force uniform, very sharp looking. So you had, it appears you had that experience seeing your own sister come home on vacation for the first time. Are you able to take us back to that moment when she walked in the door looking like a soldier, totally different from the person who went to school 3 months earlier? Let's try and walk us through those emotions.
My brother, when she came, it was like we had received the president. The excitement, the berets, the shoulder flaps, everything. We were just so excited. We were treating her like one, literally like a cast. That's a chief of the air staff. We were so happy, so intrigued. She was entering. We were asking her everything. How is the school? How is this? How is that? We were just very intrigued, especially me myself. And now that you have also mentioned seeing the first airman, I think for us, and Nana can bear me witness, I think for us, when we even saw our first female set of military officers come, oh my God, they were so sharp, so smart. They came in their number 4. Number 4 is a type of uniform. The skirts, oh my God, you know, our commandants then, we had a female commandant. It was so inspiring. We just used to see them like, I don't even know, like more than even ministers and presidents of the nation. They were a big deal to us then.
Thank you very much for that. Ogagos, so you basically, your dad basically tells you this is leadership. You are there, you've not really experienced the military before. At what point in time did you find out that your life had changed forever?
That did not take long at all.
That's the experience. We want that point where you realize that this is not normal and that your life will never be the same again.
In fact, as soon as I was dropped off by my mother, and we were led into the gate, and the NCO in charge, and there too was Flying Officer Sheru, who just, I mean, they started yelling at us, you know, and it was so overwhelming. You know, at 12 years old, you are wondering, what in the world have you gotten yourself into? I mean, you know, Sergeant, or it was FS Shetima, RSM Mohammed, the place just went, it was berserk. You know, they were just yelling and, you know, calling us all kinds of names, smacks, lamax, whatever it is you want to say. They were using off language, if you want to, you know, and it was just, I mean, that's the military custom. But all of this were, you know, in retrospect now, when one goes back and look at it, you know, it was welcoming us into the tradition, you know, into the tradition of excellence, tradition of leadership, and into that laboratory where we will be able to grow to become young men and leaders of tomorrow. So when I look back at it, I'm thankful that I went through the experience.
Thank you. So let me just correct something. You said NCOs, but you now said Flying Officer Show. Flying officers are not NCOs, or do I have things wrong?
No. You do not have anything mixed up there. You know, it was, you know, there was some, of course, our NCO then, whose name I cannot remember. Forgive me. But at the same time, you know, after we had, you know, after they had, you know, gotten us, you know, dressed up in military uniforms, and then there was, you know, there was an inspection by our squadron officer, Flying Officer Shehu at that time. And you know, that was what I was trying to make reference to. Of course, the rest of these memories are blurred at this point.
That's interesting, actually, because Nana's last name is Shehu. Any relationship between that Shehu and Nana Shehu here?
Definitely, that was her father.
Wow, Nana.
That was Nana's father. I mean, she bears an exact resemblance of him. He was a superb officer and a gentleman.
Amazing. It's interesting that you say that, considering the fact that Nana is on the show.
It's the fact.
All right, Hansi, let me ask you another question, actually. In the girls' military school, I will assume that you guys, the girls had a different treatment from the boys. Is that how it works? Did they treat you differently because they're like, oh, these are girls, they are ladies, let's not trouble their lives too much? Was that the experience?
Well, I think the only difference was initially we weren't allowed to do the bush camp. That to me would have been the only difference. And obviously they were thinking of our safety, but outside that, every other thing we were doing. I don't think there was really any difference between how we were treated and how the boys were treated. The boys school, the jam, that's junior airmen. I think the only difference was that we were not going for bush camp.
I'll finish it for her.
So, and anything they did, the boys did, we also did. The same punishment, the same point-to-point match, the same tattoo, the same planting. In fact, the first joint passing out parade, because that's what happens at the end of every we don't graduate, we pass out. The first joint passing out parade it was a girl that commanded the parade.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
First time it was a joint one, it was a girl that commanded it. So
Amazing.
really, there was really no difference between us.
So first of all, Hansi, we were, we're going somewhere with this. You saw your sister, you saw her come home, you decided you wanted to go to this school, you got it. Now you pack your bags. You are the sister of somebody who is already in the school. So you should have special treatment. When did it dawn on you that life is not exactly as you thought it was going to be in the military school for girls?
You know, my brother, when you have siblings that are your seniors, you will have some of their friends that love you, but in the same way, you will have those that want to prove to you that you don't have anybody in the school. And so I think by the time I started pinning my head for some seniors, doing all manner of jobs for them. In fact, I bought job for some seniors, just because they want to prove to you that you are not at home here. That was when I realized that I'm in for it. And you have to also remember that we were in different squadrons, so you can't control what is happening in one squadron and the other squadron. We're miles apart. And I did learn fast to not even leverage on the fact that I had a sibling. I had to face my realities. Oh my God.
Did you ever get to the point where you were thinking it would have been better if you had denied your sister?
Now you're making me laugh. Yes.
Because I know the experience. There were some people who had siblings and realized that they would have been better off denying that I don't know them when they were asked that, are you this person's siblings? Did you get to that point?
No, I think it wasn't as bad in the girls' school. Let me be very honest with you. It wasn't that bad. The few people that we used to buy I used to buy their job, they were quite few. I think when because our set, we were only two, it hadn't reached the level that, as more sets coming, the dynamics change. We were sort of forced to be very closer. The school was still relatively new. There was a strong law against bullying and all that. So there was a balance. And I don't think I reached that stage yet. But
nice.
I'm sure by the time you ask sets that are far down after us, you will hear a lot of stories.
Ogagos, does that mean that you being first set, you guys were just like kings and princes? They were treating you with royalty. You had no seniors. Is this the story of your experience in the military school? If yours is different, why is yours different?
How do you know better than that? You know better than that. You know that.
My job is to ask the question.
we the 80s said we serve more jobs than anybody else. I mean, the officers that left the NDA, the newly commissioned officers, these young men just came and just pounded on us. They landed on us like the Rock of Gibraltar. They were there. I mean, they were just pounding on us as if, from at nighttime, they would just come in, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, go, blow a whistle, sound an alarm, go outside and start to get soaked, do serving putty. Even at midnight. I mean, what they strived to do was to set the pace for excellence. We were branded to be the leaders that will set that pace for the future. And for that reason, some of our classmates were promoted ahead of us. Okay, and they were junior NCOs, and they were meaner, much meaner to us than even the officers and the NCOs were. Oh, that is a different topic when you talk to any member of the Pioneer State today, because sadly enough, some of those wounds have not healed. But I would tell you that the pace that was set then was, when you look at it today, it's what has helped to make AFMS and even AFGMS what it is today. It is that level of leadership that was cultivated at that very, very young age, that was perpetuated and repeated and passed down to in perpetuity till today, of course.
Then let me ask you one more question before I move on to Hansi. And then Nana, you should prepare maybe to ask some questions so that I'm not the only one asking questions. Okay, guys, when you left military school and then you are now in the back out there, I want you to think back and if you can just tell us any of the experiences that you actually drew on your experience of AFMS to be able to overcome that scenario on the outside world. If you have any of those kind of scenarios, we'll love to hear it. When you had to draw back on your training to be able to overcome or to be able to excel.
Well, for me, there are so many of them. There's so many of them because first of all, I went to the Citadel Military College in South Carolina, and very, very reputable institution. So the military aspect of the Citadel, and and any of the brutalizations that we went through at AFMS, that at the Citadel was nowhere close to that. Absolutely none. Now, what was different in comparing the Citadel and AFMS was the mental rigors. The mental rigors at the Citadel was more than that of AFMS, but the physicality of it, no comparison whatsoever. I think that in terms of experience, so for one thing, I was able to draw a lot from the physical training that AFMS taught me, and I was for most part unfazed by anything I underwent at the Citadel. In terms of focus, laser focus, vision, resilience, and that can-do attitude, leadership, all of that were things that were instilled in me at Air Force Military School JOS. Those were, those were just tenets that were already inbuilt in me. So when I still say it today that when I look back, those formative years has helped to be who I am today. And I can say that, I can say that proudly and be very, very thankful for having undergone such rigors at such a very, very tender age, which has helped me to be very, very focused in everything I do.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. Hansi, how about you?
Well, I think when I look back to AFGMS, just like you said, there were a lot of things that happened. But I will recall one incident that sort of transformed my thinking. When we were there, we had to keep low cut as women. And most of the time when you're keeping your low cut, you're supposed to make it level. And after some time, girls wanted to feel funky. So we started doing what we call the punk hairstyle. And I went on holiday and was resuming for one of the terms. And I came with my little punk haircut. And to my surprise, one of our officers, she's not even in my squadron, just saw me and said, come here. She now sat me down, called the barber there and then, and made them shave my head like Oga K, as in totally bald. I was with what they call Golimapa for the first month of that term. Now, what that taught me, because other people had punk and got away with it, but she made sure that I did not get away with it. But I think the message for me then was she felt you exhibit some leadership skills. So we expect higher standards from you, and I expect much better from you. So because of that, in my journey of life, I have always had the mindset of not doing things because everybody is doing it. I have chosen to stand alone in some cases. In fact, Nana will tell you that there was a time because I was provost marshal, and that's like the head disciplinary prefect. There was a time after visiting an outing, you know what we call sneaking of provisions and so on and so forth. There was a time we did a raid, and my God, the things we got was as if we could build a supermarket from it, and the whole school was against us. But I was able to stand with all my provosts because I just felt all those experiences in Air Force made me feel very comfortable that when you're doing the right thing, you're doing the right thing, and you don't budge at it. And I think it has built a lot of resilience. Going to Air Force built a lot of resilience in me, a lot. And I think truly my leadership skills were honed because everywhere I am, I just stand out as a leader. I did learn also in Air Force. I don't know how Nana can speak to us. I think there's one thing they say about Air Force girls: we fear nothing, we fear no one. So we have this real can-do spirit, and it's just there. It's just there. We don't bow down or bow out easily, and I think that foundation came from Air Force. Very fantastic for me.
Amazing, amazing. I have experienced relating with a few Air Force girls, military school, ex-junior air women, and my summary actually is that the beginning of the wisdom is the fear of Exjaw. So with that, I'll let the beginning of wisdom allow me to hand over to Nana to ask a couple of questions now. Okay. Nana, over to you.
I'm going to ask, this are just 4 facts, something fun you remember from school and all of that. That's what I'm going to ask now. Now, Hansatu, thinking about it now, I remember we used to be in drama club, drama music cultural club. I remember Song of Lawido. No, but anyway, jokes apart, what can you remember? What fun, easy, outside punishment, because we received a lot of punishment. I know our set, we're the first set of juniors. So the seniors practiced all the punishment on us. Then it was during that time that the officers, as you said, came. So they were fresh out of, training, they pounced on us too. So we're the first set of properly punished people, junior air women. But apart from that, what were the fun times? What fun activity or something that happened that you just never forgot? So let's go to Oga.
Yes.
Oga Goss, before I start to come up.
That's
so
fine.
What fun thing, something really not, academic or military, but that was fun that happened while you were in school that you can remember even years later, decades later.
Wow.
I was an activity you were doing that was fun that you just can't forget.
Well, I would say this. There were, we had some of this inter-squadron events that, whether it was in the, debate or events that where we went and represented Air Force Military School, whether it was in football or basketball,
Yeah, but can you tell us one in particular that stayed with you that you just never forgot?
I tell you one that stayed with me. There's one that really, really stayed with me. I remember back then, I was representing, AFMS was playing Hillcrest in basketball. And we went to Hillcrest, and of course, AFMS was still young, and Hillcrest was this school that had all this, Adegbite that were there. And I had a breakaway, and I had a dunk in that game. And that game, it tore down the whole place just went berserk. And it was like an epiphany of what was going to happen in the future. And that day I made a lot of fans, had a lot of girls coming after me.
Yeah, that's unforgettable.
That was very, very, that was one moment there that I would never ever forget. And of course we did not win the game, we lost the game. But that moment that dog was a very, very memorable one. I think it's also important to also hide something here about AFMS, and of course as well about Air Force Girls Military School, is the amalgam of culture that it was. Okay, we had 6, 7 kids chosen from each state of Nigeria at that time. Okay, so there was this a mesh of culture, and we did not look at anyone coming from this part of the country, this tribe, that this. We all were treated as one. Okay, we were all treated as one. It was basically AFMS was a structured environment, structured military conclave for excellence, for leadership. And in that very environment, everything it was about who you are, and you doing what you're supposed to do. It wasn't about you coming from the south, the east, or the west. It was not about whether your father was the president or the head of state. Nobody gave a hoot about it. In fact, you served more job when that happened. Okay, and the parity that we all had, that parity of excellence, that parity of everyone, was a very, very rich culture, and it's something that I really, really remember and I take away.
Okay, true. Just to add to your point before Hansatu talks, your mention that people were given, there was no bias. You just have to prove yourself regardless of who your father is or something. Now, remember I said the first joint passing out parade between the girls and the boys' school was commanded. The commander was a female. She was from the girls, and she commanded both boys and girls like that. Now, at that time, she was the junior SM for the girls. The junior SM for the boys, who was assumed was going to be the person to command the parade, was the chief of air staff, the current chief of air staff then, his son. So you'll have thought because his father is chief of air staff, he's going to command the parade, but no, the girl was better at commanding. So they said she commands, and that really showed how fair the Nigerian Air Force is, really. So I really concur with what you said.
No. If I may add to that real quickly, the concept. Okay, then the experiment that they put together it worked. I don't know what if the first middle school or Air Force Girls Middle School is today, but back then it worked very, very well, and that was the reason why they decided that we need to do this for the girls as well. I remember when they were talking about this. We were, this was like in 1985, and they were saying, we need to do the same thing for the girls as well. When Adam was created, Eve had to be created just as well to make sure that there was, and honestly, they were
like better.
We need to create something for these guys so that they can have partners in the future, and also that we can create something for, that will build up young women just as well.
Yes. It'd be nice to know how many partners ended up partners, but that's a topic for another day. That's a topic for another day. Let's see.
Tell us your unforgettable fun moment in school.
Let me be honest. When we were in school, there's what we used to call dodging parade. And dodging parade can be dodging any kind of activity that was compulsory. And so there was a day that we had evening prep. And I recall some of us were just hanging out in fact, in another squadron that was not even our squadron. And I was with one of my very close friends then. Then we used to have our nicknames for our female officers, and some of them were like terrorists to us. So the sheer mention or their voice used to just send shivers in our body. And so as we were just there hanging around, fooling around in the squadron, instead of being in class for prep, from the door, we just heard the voice of one of our female officers saying, "Who are those in the squadron? Come out here now." My brother, I was with my closest friend. Then Green Squadron used to have these long cupboards. See people diving, looking for where to hide. I just jumped into somebody's locker and was closing my door. This my friends. Even when I think back, I laugh. He started saying, "Hansatu, please let me join you." I was like, "No, the fear
did not let you hide in peace.
Let me just enter this cupboard with you. I rejected my friend though, because of you. I was
After we never allow her to finish
I was
the
pushing her that she should go and find her own hiding place.
Yes, now.
You know
Everybody
the
find your own, oh. Your own, man. Your
you
own.
know the irony? After all that back and forth, at the end of the day, it wasn't the actual officer. It was one of our mates that impersonated her.
pretending.
Oh, God.
Yeah, all of us.
No.
My
Oh,
friend
God,
said,
that's
this
so
is
funny.
how I would have denied her. But it was so funny, honestly. That was how fearful we were of these people. And we had a good laugh that day. You can see, even anytime I think about it, I still laugh to the point of tears.
No, and I don't want officer, but we're not going to talk about that one on today's episode. There's an officer that said the fear of dash dash is the beginning of wisdom.
And she was the one.
She was the one now. Only her.
Oh my God.
Okay. At this point, I think we have to wind down. I sincerely hope we can bring you both back here again another day. Let's relive this fun fact. See what we made you do, Hansatu. We made you go back 30 years, 30 something years.
and cry on camera. It's a cry. It's a cry. It's a cry that is backed with a laugh.
I was among them. But maybe I was among them. I can't remember, but I remember that incident very, very well. I just can't remember who it was. Hansi will talk after this. Who was that person said that 3 times?
Amen. It was Amen that did that joke for us.
It was Amen.
One of our mates. I said she scattered this wardrobe. People were flying out of the window. Hey.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Hey, thank you. And we really, really, really had fun on today's episode. It was just wonderful having both of you here because as we said, you were among the earliest, Exjam and Exjaw that passed through the school. So seeing you where you've reached now, I believe is going to be an inspiration for those coming behind to show that, yes, this school gave us the opportunity to be who and what we really want to be. It has given us the opportunity just for us to harness the opportunities and remember how we were trained and just strive to excel. So Hansatu, Mrs. Hansatu, let me stop being informal, Hansi now. But then for production purposes, Mrs. Hansatu Adegbite, the executive director of Wimbees, thank you very much for being part of the program today. You want to say your goodbyes?
Thank you so much for having me. Gamus for life. Gamus for life.
Gamus for life.
Just for the benefit of whoever will watch this. Yeah. I just want you to know that the foundation that we got as Gamus, and one of the things I really appreciate, just like Ogagos has said earlier, is that because we live together with no boundaries, nobody's looking at who your father is or anything, it built a closeness amongst us and a unity. When you see one of us fall till date, all of us rise to support. And I think that is a testament of the kind of training we received. I want to encourage so many of our Exjaw and Exjam out there. Things may not be as palatable as you wanted it to be for some of us. Some of us are doing our best. Let's always remember to lend a hand and pull another person up. But for those of us that are still on the way, let's not relent in setting our goals, having a focus, and being determined to get there. And when you get there, pull others up to be able to gain and benefit from where you are. Because I will tell you that even in my own role, we have been able to help some Exjaw, with different types of jobs. And I think those are the kind of things that we should be doing for one another. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and even competition, which is another story. I think you come back and talk about that another day. We know the competition, you helped an Exjaw, mentored her to win a competition. And then we'll get to that another day. Thank you very much for being here. Ogagos, in fact, it's a pleasure. It's really deeply a pleasure knowing that, yes, you're an Exjam. Yes, you're busy. Yes, you're like I said earlier, a man of timber and caliber and all, caterpillar, bulldozer, and then you had time to be part of us today. Thank you very much. So, what do you want to say in closing?
Well, thank you all as well, for putting this together. I think it's a wonderful forum to continue to build and improve on the brand of Exjam and Exjaw. When the vision that our fathers had, we are actualizing that vision today. We spread it out in various vocations and industries, in the military, in the civilian life, in various industries, and we continue to I believe that we continue to make them proud, by how we are living our lives today, and ensuring that dividends that they're making, that dividends have been earned on the investments that were made on us when they started, when they had this vision, to bring these different cultures together of academic excellence, of leadership. And we need to continue. We need to continue with that. This branding of AFMS. What we're doing in North America, what has been done in Nigeria. We need to continue in this very, very fashion, so that the people that are coming behind us can create an environment, a nurturing environment for them as well. So I think that for me, that is what is left. To ensure that we pass it on. We help to build our leaders of tomorrow. And we continue to ensure that that we continue to strive to excel in everything that we do. So
Yes.
I know that I speak for every one of us here that we will continue to do our best to make sure that the Exjam Exjaw brand lives forever, but is also continues to live in a shining light for the world to see. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Ogake.
Amazing. Thank you so much for it was very short notice, but you pulled through as normal. Actually, with you have your personal brands. We know that you are leaders of the pack of leaders. So thank you so much for gracing this and making it an amazing. We went well over the time, so thank you so much for the richness also of the experience that you shared. And we're hoping that, somebody much younger gets to see this and realize that these are the type of people who went ahead of me so that they can aspire to be greater. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
So, based on Oga, let me just add to that a bit. Hansatu had a whole day of seminar, and she came. It's night where she is right now. And then she came. She joined up. When she first came, she was sounding tired. But when it became this talk of Air Force girls military school, you could see her. She just revived.
Got back in time.
A curtain was dropped. Look at Oga Gus too. He's at a seminar. He came for a seminar. He said you're in Atlanta for a seminar.
Yes.
And then look at, he jumped up, like, yes, I'm still going to be, what they say about the Air Force, willing, able, ready, and that's what we've shown here. So thank you very much for being part of the program. Thank you, Oga Kaide, for your continuous support and being the co-anchor today. I think we should round up. Everybody, we have to say our NAF numbers. So say goodbye with your NAF numbers. Okay, let's start from Hansatu now.
88/0094. Sit up.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hansatu Adegbite. Oga Gus.
80/116.
Okay.
Gus
Thank
Olalere.
you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Oga K.
AFMS 82/248 Coyote Atobatele.
Okay, and last but not least, I hope the youngest. I mean, it's most junior. But anyway, I am 88/0182 Nana Shehu. Wishing you the best of what you wish yourself, all of you watching us right now. Remember, the program has been at Exjaw. The program takes us back in the days to our high school days. All of the people you're seeing on your screen right now are ex-students of the Air Force military schools, and the one for the boys and the one for the girls in Jos, Nigeria. So until next episode of the program, stay blessed. Don't do what I wouldn't do. Thank you.